Preparing to live stream. Don't forget to mute yourselves. But especially if I'm sharing my screen, don't worry about like raising your hand. Just speak up and say, hey, I've got a question, or whatever you want to get my attention. Hi, David. Okay, so today is June 22nd, and we're starting another Tuesday talk. I'm happy to see those of you that couldn't get time off over the summer, at least not for today. I'm happy to see you, and sorry, got to be in the office just like me. So, all right, first item is, right now is the time, July 1st, we've got our new appointments switching over. And so summertime's a great time to start thinking about, what trainings do I need to prepare? Who's our new leadership? Who's changing things up, or maybe trying something different? And so it's a good time to kind of go over some of the stuff that we have for training availability. So I sent you guys the direct link to where you could find training information, but I'm going to share my screen now, as I am, to show you. You don't have to have the direct link. If you just hover over resources and then, go down to, sorry, my Zoom menu is in the way. Okay, hover over resources and then go down to training. That brings you to that dsumc.org/initiative/itraining, which made sense when we first created that URL. It was part of the annual conference initiative, but now it seems kind of weird. And so it wouldn't be intuitive to go to something called initiative/itraining. So FYI, anytime that you're trying to find something on the conference website and you feel like, I have to do a search, I don't know where this stuff is or whatever, I would love to get an email from you guys to let me know about that. Because right now we're also looking at potentially redesigning the website, looking at what things do we need to change out. How does the menu system and navigation function for our users? So if you're struggling to find what you're looking for, that's the kind of feedback I need to make sure that the redesign makes sense for people that are actually using the website. So, all right, so this is where you would go. And we've got a lot of really good stuff. The thing that I mentioned in the email to you guys this morning was about the SPRC training, I think. Yeah. And well, I mentioned SPRC to Health and Caring, but one of the items that the reason why I included this also is I had an email about the simplified structure stuff, and we just updated the links last week. Some of the links to the videos didn't quite work, and one of them went to like a preview instead of the full thing. So now instead of linking directly to specific videos that we're talking about, which the URL changed, didn't know, so our links broke, now we go directly to Kay Cotton, I hope I'm saying her name right, to her videos, and that's where you can find all sorts of really in-depth stuff on simplified structure. So if that's something that your church is doing, now you've got a great series to take a look at, sample documentation that you would need, like it says here, step by step, and more. So, and if there's something else that you're looking for, or you found somewhere else that would be good to add to DSC University training, please let me know. Questions about that?
Oh, I've got one.
Yeah.
Is there anything on the DSC University about like church office staff and trainings on that? Like what the secretary should be doing, what kind of documents we're supposed to be keeping, anything like that? Our new pastor, Ron, mentioned that he used to take his secretary and do a bunch of trainings, and I was just wondering if...
Awesome. Carla, please share.
Oh, yes, we used to have trainings where we would have once a year with when we had Palmex, which was the Professional Association of United Methodist Secretaries. We haven't done that in a number of years, but I have been talking to a couple of the DSs about creating a training video like they have for the SPRC for a couple things. One is around church conferences. And so that's so the documentation around church conferences, but there's also some information from the archives, which I can get to you, Megan, that has what you need to retain and how long you need to retain it, and the retention rules for all the documents for a local church. And I can look that up. I haven't seen it in a while. I know Jennifer's on vacation, Jennifer Barbara, the archivist, so it might be a few days before I can get that from her. But I can get that information and pass it on to Christina to share with everybody.
Awesome, thank you. There's just, our church is going through a little bit of an organizational, like a lot of, a lot of things are coming out of the woodwork that have never been talked about before. And all of a sudden, this very rare specific thing is being brought up, and it's exhausting. And so I know that it's hard to do like a specific church secretary training because all the churches do things so differently. But
yeah, we're long overdue. And along with that, a while back ago, we did a kind of a conference-wide training roadshow. Can you guys see me? Okay, good. Training in each district where we were talking about crisis communications, and the people that were kind of required to attend was the main pastor, I think, or as many pastors from your church as you had, the church secretary, maybe the receptionist, whoever it is that normally would answer the phone if a reporter were to call. And that would include the volunteer on Sunday. I think we also had invited either the church lay leader or the church council chairperson. I can't remember who. Anyway, that's kind of long overdue for kind of a refresher course, and we probably have some new admin out there that could use that training. But FYI, just know that if something happens at your church where you're worried, whether it's something that's simmering that's not in the news yet, but you heard about there might be something bad that's going on, or that it's already hit the news, or it's happening right now, that's the time to contact your district superintendent, and then they might contact me. You can also contact me directly, and then I would include the district superintendent. But those are the two key people to contact, and we're going to help you guys, step by step, work on a communication strategy for staff, for your members. Does something have to be read from the pulpit? Do we need to have a written statement for the media? Should we schedule a press moment where you invite them to the church? And if you do, or they just show up, what should you be thinking about as far as the location? Where's the best place to set them? And if you don't want them there, what you have rights to be able to say to them, and how to say maybe, hey, get off of our campus without seeming rude or mean or unchurch-like. So there's a whole bunch of stuff to cover, and it's definitely long overdue. We maybe should do something specific for the church secretary position, and then potentially, like, who knows, this could be like a breakout session thing where we go a deeper dive into each item, or we just schedule out specific topics over the year. I don't know what would be best for everyone's schedules, but there are some things that absolutely need to be covered sooner than later. Thank you for that question, Megan, and your sharing, Carla. Okay, the next item that I had shared about was resources on 3 simple rules. So I just added a bunch of links that, in case you guys needed it. Somebody asked me for it, and so I just did a little bit of research on what could they be talking about. Are they asking specifically about that little book? And then as I was looking for that, then I found out that there's study guides for it. And of course, the social media stuff came in. So I recommend that, take a look at it if you ever have a little bit of downtime, or if you're just wondering what would this 3 simple rules mean with our social media. Take a look. You guys have questions about that? Okay. All right. Then, as is the case with training, now's the time to also take a look and see what's on Find a Church for your church. If you don't know what Find a Church is, it's a great search engine. If somebody's coming into your neighborhood, whether it's for a quick vacation or to move, and they're looking for a United Methodist church near them, very likely what's going to pop up at the top of that Google search is Find a Church. And that's something that's created and maintained by the United Methodist Church. So your part in that is to ensure that the information that pops up is the most accurate for your church and maybe even sounds a little bit enticing or welcoming. So besides changing out maybe who the new pastor is, for some churches, especially as we went into COVID, they needed to change from listing in-person worship schedule to how to watch worship online, how to participate online. And for some churches, it included highlighting COVID-specific ministries. Well, now we're not necessarily completely out of COVID, but definitely there could be appointment changes. And for many churches, we need to go back in and add in-person worship service information. So those links give you instructions on how to update it. And then as you're changing stuff out, you might want to take a look at your website and see, do I need to do any updates? It used to be that the website grants from United Methodist Communications were only available for new churches or churches that have never had a website. Well, now, I mean, that's what's the way they would advertise it. But now they're affirming that, nope, you can apply for a grant if you have a terrible website, if you have ridiculously out of date and unusable website. So basically, they want to make sure that every one of our churches has a functional and usable, friendly, beautiful website. So we've got information there about, you'll get to that one if you go to like the starting a new website, step 1 link, you'll end up finding the information about grants. And if you can't find it, let me know. But I figured I'd put that other stuff in there because there's some other information that you might want to know about. And David said that he learned something about the Find a Church info. So I want to make sure that's highlighted. What did you learn, David?
I used to think that the only way the clergy changes came in there was through the, data that's submitted from the conference, and then, UMCOM or GCFA gets that data and it all processes it. And that's kind of how it's supposed to work. But I learned from your links that, wait a minute, there's a category where we can go in and pull the old pastor off and put the new one on, maybe, and they'll process it. But I didn't know that. I thought it all had to happen magically in the background. So that's the new thing I learned today.
Cool, perfect, thank you. Because I shared the Find a Church stuff, I always assumed every church knows that they have to update the pastor stuff. So I think what actually happens is somewhere in between what you and I were thinking. And today we know now that, regardless of what happens behind the scenes, you have within your power the ability to update the pastor information. So don't delay, set yourself a calendar reminder so that either on July 1st or, towards the end of the day on June 30th, you update Find a Church with your new pastor information. Okay, then, and I wanted to share a little bit about the denominational brand standards. So part of what's available in that isn't just, hey, here's the official United Methodist red, or this is the amount of spacing you need to have from the cross and flame to any text. It's not just that information. It's also about making sure, it's using their resources to help your church. So they've got a professional graphics person that can create a logo for your church that maybe you don't need a brand new design, but maybe your website, because you're taking advantage of the grant, so your new website needs a certain size, a certain file type of your logo. for that new website. And so they can provide that graphic at no cost to your church, whatever you need. If you need a letterhead so that you don't have to keep buying printed letter or printed letterhead paper, cardstock, is that what it would be? No, I guess just letterhead paper. You could just have a digital file, and as you print your letter, you print the letterhead as well. Just buy some special type of paper for it, maybe. What else? So that was the big deal about that. Do you guys have any questions about the brand helps or resources that are listed there? Notice somebody, David, posted a link to the grant program. Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I've just turned a lot of, you had mentioned it a minute or two ago, and unfortunately I wasn't finding it straight from that particular resource UMC thing, so that's why I put it out there. But yeah, I've hooked many churches up with the grant program, and it's not the one size fits all solution for everybody. But any church that is struggling with what should we do with our website, and should we, I mean, it's free hosting for a year and other good resources, and so it's a very generous thing that our denomination is doing.
Very cool, thank you. Okay, questions about that stuff? All right. So the last item that I wanted to talk about. So I had a copyright question where someone took a photo, so it's their original photo, but they wanted to post it with someone else's quote on it. And it was like, I think it was a famous quote. They weren't going to be printing stickers that they're selling. They weren't going to make any money on this whatsoever. It was just creating your own graphic with a famous quote. So the question was, are there any copyright implications on something like that? So if you guys are planning on doing, I'm sure by now you've probably done something like this for social media for your church. So the thing to consider is just that. If, number one, it's not, the quote itself is not owned by you. So that is a reason to check into, oh, are we gonna get sued, or is somebody gonna catch us, and whatever. So that's awesome thinking right there. Anytime that you're using content that is not owned by you and you're publishing it as if it is owned by, well, not you, but your organization, it's important to take a look at copyright implications so that you don't get sued later. So in this case, no, there's no worry about using it as long as you are including proper attribution, because that's important too. If you don't put who said that, then it makes it seem like your organization said it. And then it's like you're taking ownership of it. So just like when you're writing a report or something and you're using the research data from some university or whatever, you just include that citation and you are legally using that information without trying to infer an assumption that you own that information, that you did that research. So that's it. Any questions about that? Nope. Okay. And then the last bit about that is if something does happen where, oh no, I didn't know that graphic was not public domain. The person that gave it to me said it was public domain, and you go ahead and use it. Number one, do your own research, do your due diligence. There is the image search capability within Google, so you can upload that image file and it'll do a search for you, and you can see, is it public domain or not, and is there attribution required? Because that's, it's not just about it being public domain or copyright free. Sometimes it's copyright free, but attribution is required. So you've got to make sure you're following all the rules. So once you've done your own homework, you should be fine. But just in case, so you might get contacted by an organization anyway, trying to claim that, hey, we've got rights to that. You do have help available to you. You can contact communications@dscumc.org, and I can connect you with our conference chancellor, and you can work out what needs to happen if you are in the process of getting sued for using content that isn't owned by your church. So Chris, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I'm wondering how you do that on Google, because every time I've tried to look, it just says image may be subject to copyright.
You're muted, Christina.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so it's you go to images. Wait, I've got something on my screen here. Images.google.org. Is that correct? Yes. No, .com. Images.google.com. And so that brings you just, it looks like the regular Google search, but then you can click on the search by image icon and you can, I always upload an image, but I guess you can paste an image URL. So if you already had it on your website, I just don't even upload it without checking. I don't want any stuff in there. So I'm going to choose an image file. And let's go to, well, sorry, I'm looking for an image. I just had an image. Okay, well, I did a screen capture. What did I do a screen capture of? Oh yeah, that's my receipt. I'm doing my visa reconciliation. Okay, so I did the search and then, oh, am I gonna get those options? Well, I would go to tools, maybe more.
You might go into visually similar images. That link down where it has a whole lot of
Oh,
thumbnails.
thank you. Thank you. And then I'd probably look under Creative Commons and see what pops up. Of course, this isn't a good, I should have, well, there would be other images if this really was a photo or something. Let's just do something different. Let's do search for Jesus. Because in the end, you're going to get to the same spot where you're looking at a bunch of images and you go to tools and usage rights, Creative Commons, and there could be a ton of versions of this one or whatever. But so like here's one that's commons.wikimedia. So chances are that's okay. It does say licensable, but any of these that I was going to look at, and typically stuff on Pixabay is okay to use. But I'm going to start with this Wikimedia one. I click on that one and then look to see what it says about the licensing. So fine, attribution, must give appropriate credit. So typically what I found is, well, first of all, you're going to find the information here using this file. And when I download it, here's the attribution stuff. So I can copy that and download whatever size that I'm looking for. And I would do save image as, whatever it's going to be. And then when I post it, I'm going to open up my other document. Share this just so you can see the text. Okay, so let's say that this is my website and there's going to be like an alt text area. There's an image description area. You know what? Let me just show that instead. Why am I doing it that way? DSEMC.org.
We get to watch the sausage making.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Go to Google Chrome. Okay, so that was the image that I downloaded. I'm going to my dashboard and here's my media. There it is. Add new. Desktop picture. Okay, so normally I'm going into media directly from a post, so I would have gotten to something like this right away. But on the alternative text, I know some people don't put anything in alt text. It's important to use it. It actually helps with your search ability, search engine optimization, I think. So sometimes, let's see what oops, I'm going to put this in the caption. So the caption is going to be where people see the attribution. And that's all fine. I could put, I don't know what this means, but maybe it's the author's name. So I could put that there, or I could put the appearances of Jesus Christ. That's what I'll put in there. Photo of appearances of Jesus Christ. It's got to be something that's descriptive, but it's not the actual photo description. It's something that somebody might be searching for to find this. So there's the caption. And then in the description, I do it this way. There could be a better way if you guys have something else. Oops. Let me know and we can explore that. So I would put a lot more information there. This is where it would be things like if this was somebody's actual photograph, I'd put in there where it was from, maybe taken on, I don't know, 1208. Things like that. You put more descriptor stuff in there. This is what you have to put in there according to the, what was that? To what it said in the attribution information. Anyway, so that's it. That's all I would put, and then update. So that anytime it's used, that stuff should pop up. And that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's all I had, unless you guys have something to share or another question. No? All right. This was a really good Tuesday talk. Again, thank you for joining me today. I hope that your rest of the week is a vacation-like week where you're inspired of cool breezes, I don't know, refreshing moments, and you can forget that maybe you're in the heat like me. So hope you guys have a